So, I'm the pre-show. You probably came to see Colin and Dylan, and they will be on in a minute, but let me get you warmed up here. So why are Colin and Dylan here with the League of Women Voters? About 4 years ago, we, in the Voter Services Committee, decided we would like to be sure that the folks that are in our La Crosse County Jail were educated about voting. So a small team of us, there's just 4 of us. It's Anita Evans, Kathy Mullner, who's in the back there, Jane Powell here, and myself formed the jail voting committee, for lack of a better name. And we have been going into Dylan Motter's community resources class every session for the last 4 years and doing our thing. So you may ask, well, what is that thing that you do in the jail? 3 out of 4 of us on the committee are teachers, so of course our first thought was, well, we have to develop a lesson plan. And this is a short script of the lesson plan. Feel free to look at any part of it, but it's the lower right-hand corner where it tells you the goals that I think are really important, and it's the first and second goals that really are the heart of what we do. So we want to send the message that the League encourages incarcerated people to vote and to ensure that they see themselves as members of the community who have a voice. Okay, so this is kind of the core of our program, and you might look at that first one and say, oh, you start with values? Yes. Because when we very first met with Dylan, he said to us, they're going to want to know, why should I vote? That's, of course, something that lots of people want to know. Why should I vote? And so since we started in the jail, we actually start lots of our presentations this way. And I'm going to ask you to participate. So when we're doing the session in the jail, we ask each of our students to write down 1 or 2 things that are the most important things to them. So I'm going to ask all of you just to take a minute and slow down that brain and think, what are the 1 or 2 things that are most important to me? You don't have to write them down. Okay, so you've got yours. These are my notes from the last class we did with Dylan. These are the things that they said. Family, mental health, community, homelessness, justice, family, recovery, addiction. The second class, family, helping others, health, family. You get the point about family. That's said many times, so I'm not going to keep repeating it. So those are the things that they said. I would be willing to bet you lots of money that those are also the things that you all said. So what do we do with that? When do we get to the voting part? The next thing we do is relate to them how those values are impacted by the people we vote for. So for example, family, 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 family. Look in the lower left-hand corner. Child care, WIC, Head Start, the child tax credit. Those all happen or don't happen, are funded or are not funded, dependent on the people that you vote for. If you move up 2 from that, schools. Of course, if you're concerned about your children and your family, you're probably concerned about the schools they go to. Referendums. Lots of us just voted on referendums about our schools. And let's just take a look at courts. That has to do with the justice thing, but we also particularly try to hit that one to be sure that they're aware that judges are voted for. There are people in the sheriff, people in the criminal justice system in our county who are voted for. And in fact, many of the people we're talking to, the students we're talking to, may have a better idea of who should be in those positions than we do. So they have information to offer to the community about who should be voting. And we go on and do the whole chart. Another one of our main objectives is to be sure that they know the law. And again, we're looking to them to help us educate the community about the law. So this is a chart that I made. On the left-hand side is the, I always call it most progressive. That may not be your decision. But anyway, on the left-hand column, in the states of Maine and Vermont, you can literally vote while you were in prison for a felony. The right-hand column, these are all states that require you to have completed your sentence, completed your probation, and then something. And in each state, it's different. For example, the last state there, Wyoming, you do all that plus 5 years. You can see that we are here. It's alphabetical, so we're not last for any other reason other than that. But so in the state of Wisconsin, currently, finish your sentence, finish your probation or parole, and then you can vote. And we work hard to get that message out because lots of people, including formerly incarcerated people, don't know that. For example, Jean was working at, you know what I'm going to say, Jean? Was working a table this summer, and a gentleman came up to her and was hesitating. Anyway, finally it turned out he had been off paper. He had been finished with his probation for 10 years and did not know that he could vote. So that's part of how we get the message out. The other part is Colin hooked us up with the probation officers about a year ago. And so we also did a presentation for all the probation officers just to be sure that they were solid on the facts. And then we were able to give them materials to distribute as they speak to their clientele to be sure that they know the law. And they also wanted signs for all their offices and to post outside their main office. So we were able to do that for them. One other thing we point out is that, so this column, which you can see has the most number of states, Minnesota just moved into that column in 2023. The vote in the Senate was 35-30 in favor of moving them so that as soon as you finish your sentence, you can vote. Somebody had to vote for those 5 people that pushed that vote over. And then somebody had to vote for the governor that signed that bill into law. So that's another reason to vote. So we feel very fortunate to be a part of this wonderful work that's being done by Project Proven in this community. You can chat with Kathy or Jane. Anita's not here, but every time we finish that class, we talk about how lucky we were to be doing that work. So, I always say I'm a crier. I cry at everything. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to introduce to you the main show. Colin Walsh serves as the manager for Project Proven, a program at Western Technical College that assists justice-involved individuals with both their personal and professional goals. He coordinates jail program at La Crosse, Monroe, Trempealeau, and Jackson County jails, and works with individuals as they transition back into the community upon release. Prior to working at Western, he worked in the La Crosse County Jail for 11 years, so he brings a unique perspective to this program. Dylan Motter is an instructor at Western Technical College who bridges correctional campus and community spaces. Dillon primarily serves currently and formerly incarcerated learners and other first-generation students, teaching courses in reading and writing, employment, and community resources, among others. In addition to his work at Western, Dillon serves on the La Crosse County Board. So the stars of the show, Colin and Dillon.
Thank you, Chris. That was, man, I feel like we have you set the bar like fairly high for us, Chris. I'm a little nervous here. No, isn't that like the lesson that they do? It's so, isn't that such like a good little lesson that they for the jail? Like, I feel like when that's taught in the jail, and you probably speak better on that, that it's such a, I think people come out of there really energized and thinking in a different way about voting, and maybe where they haven't thought about prior to that.
Yeah, I came in today expecting to feel a lot of emotions, but that that shook me a little bit, Chris. Thank you for giving us that introduction, and you reminded me of how critical this work is in partnership, and that we do nothing good alone. So thank you for that. And before I forget, I want to give a shout out to you too, Cam, because Cam and Emily with the La Crosse Public Library were in community resources last week and had an equally powerful lesson. So I'm thankful for you too.
Yes, it's great to see. And yeah, and so again, kind of to get us, maybe I should get my click. Colin, Dillon, Colin. You'll probably get that confused. Everybody gets it confused at some point. We pretty much just respond to each other's names. So yeah, so if you screw it up, do not, we are not offended. Is that right?
Got it.
Fair.
Yep.
Okay.
Colin with the curls.
Colin with the curls, nice. But now what happens if I get my hair cut though, Cam? Then it's a problem. Okay. I know. So we usually I like to set the stage kind of so you get a sense of like who we work with. Usually I don't have a judge in the room that gets to critique this. So Judge Bierke, would you like, no. No, so I'll keep it relatively simple, just so you get a sense. So someone gets arrested, comes to jail, they'll go to court the next day, or within the first couple days. Judge will kind of take everything into considerations and issue them a bond. So that could be a cash bond or a signature bond. Conditions of the bond generally will be the same, other than do you have to pay some money up front before you can get out of jail? So do I have to pay $500 right now to get out, or am I signing my name that I'm agreeing to all these terms and conditions, and I will attend my next court date, yada yada, and then I can go. After signing my name. So, and one of those conditions you guys may have heard of, house arrest, the bracelet, EM or electronic monitoring. That can be through our justice support services through the La Crosse County. So a lot of times they could get put in this category here for whether it be pre-sentence, so while they're still awaiting their trial, or it could be something that they get sentenced to, and maybe they're serving a sentence at home or on the bracelet, right? So far, we're working with people if they're in jail. It could be on cash bonds. If they get released and they're coming out on either a cash bond or signature bond, we'll be working with you. Electronic monitoring, anytime connected with Justice Support Services, we're working with you. Sentenced, anytime you're sentenced to county jail and you got to sit some time in county jail, whether that be a condition of your probation or a sentence handed down by one of our judges, we are likely, if again, it's voluntary if you want to take advantage of programming, but we can also work with you in that capacity. The only place we're really not is if you get sentenced to prison. We are not in any of our prisons right now. I know Vicki was here kind of talking about Windows to Work. There is Windows to Work through our Workforce Development Board. A lot of similar work that we got going on, they're working with folks in prison. We're in the jail setting. And again, anybody on probation, you hear probation, or if they're getting out of prison and they get put on extended supervision, you may have heard it, or like the old terminology, like parole, extended supervision. We can work with those folks. We can also work if all of these things have passed and you are now still struggling to maybe find work, or you're a little worried about what it's going to look like getting back into school. We are still a landing spot for that. So like any brush with the system at all, you can get connected with us. That's our target demographic. Generally, we do not ask questions, about specific convictions or charges, unless it may pertain to a goal you have, right? So, like, I want to be a CDL truck driver. Then we may need to figure out if we have any, felony OWI convictions or things like that. But for generally speaking, we are, you come, no questions asked, and we'll kind of figure out what your goals are. Questions on that? Did I butcher that, Judge Buer? We're okay? Okay, all right. Thumbs up. Okay. Felony. As far as like charge, there could be, like baseline could be like an ordinance, like a city or county like ticket given to you. Next level up would be like a misdemeanor. And those we saw here, can't, with a misdemeanor, generally you're not sentenced to more than a year in county jail. When it gets to be a felony, that's when prison can come into play. And that is a lot of that. So that would be like if we're going up the ladder of, severity of offenses, that's where we would get to there.
So Colin gave us an understanding of some of the common terms that will come up throughout this presentation. I wanted to give you a sense of the scale of the problem, the scale of our work in some ways. I think that there are some people who look at Project Proven as sort of a niche within Western Technical College, or a niche within, human services in general. And unfortunately, it's not a niche. As this chart shows you, I know the font is kind of small, forgive us for that. As this chart will show you, Wisconsin, along with the United States, incarcerates far more than any country in the world, period. In fact, we are an outlier in a very severe way. You can see that Wisconsin and the US are both right around 663 per 100,000 people currently incarcerated. That translates to about 2 million people at any given time who are behind bars. In addition to that, you have 4 to 5 million people who are on extended supervision, who are serving sentences but not technically behind bars. Additional stats off to the left, you can see that there are 41,000 people currently serving time behind bars in Wisconsin. 105,000, including that 41,000, 105,000 are on some form of supervision or in the correctional system. 129,000 plus are booked into county jails annually. And then that last bullet point, I think most of us have been impacted directly and indirectly by mental health crises, side by side with addiction crises. And right now our justice system is the solution, for better and for worse, for our mental health crisis. And our this current sheriff and our last sheriff both have indicated that right now our county jail is the county's psychiatric institution. That is where we're at right now because people don't have better alternatives. So what we're seeing is increasing needs for people who are currently incarcerated, and that was especially true during the pandemic when the population shrank, but we saw the needs of the people who were there grow and grow.
And before we go to the next two numbers, I wanted to just add on with this prison policy that I wanted to just make sure I had right before we came over here today was 95% of the people that are going off to prison are getting out, right? So they're going to be your neighbors. That's just a reality. Like people don't just go away to prison forever anymore. Like sometimes life sentences don't necessarily mean a life sentence, right? So like 95% of the people going are going to be our neighbors. And then 50% of those who are out on supervision or probation don't successfully complete probation right now. So like we're up against it. And we had some guests from the country of Georgia here last fall that spent a week with us, and I know maybe some of you in the room were able to connect with them while they were in town, looking at some kind of like prison rehabilitation stuff. And they wanted to know where they stood in this, and Russia as well, because I think you think of Russia like as, kind of the gold, like for who's going to incarcerate at a super high rate. They were at about 332 or 333 per 100,000. So we're still about incarcerating at a rate about double what Russia is per
And
100,000.
I'll add to what Colin is sharing just by saying that all of this is fairly new and in living memory for the most part. This was primarily the product of the war on drugs that took place in the 80s with the Reagan administration. Prior to then, the population of currently incarcerated people was around 300,000. And again, that scaled up to around 2 million to today. There's been a slight decrease over previous years, but again, we can see a very clear spike in the 80s.
Let me go back.
Colin and I want to make sure that you know that, yes, we're standing in front of you sharing about Proven, but there's a wide team standing right side by side with us who are getting this work done. And you'll see those people up on the screen. So you can see Colin and myself up there, but we also want to give a big shout out to Willa McKenzie, who's also Jane's sister. Sorry, Jane, I'm gonna put you on the spot like that. But Willa has been in the jail for a couple of decades now, holding it down there, really providing huge numbers of classes to currently incarcerated people in La Crosse County. Chelsea's a relatively newer team member, but has big strengths in trauma-informed practice and education. Jay is our tech instructor, so he does tech club every Thursday. I'll share more about that. He comes from Youth Build and Habitat. Kay is a former school counselor, so she brings just a key awareness in mental health and counseling to our work. Dan is another tech and science guy supporting Jay. Both are just math whizzes. Drew is our associate dean. Recently, Mandy Church Hoffman, who was our dean for a long time, transitioned over to La Crosse County. So that leaves Drew as our dean, and he's just so supportive of our work, so we got to give him a shout out. Jackie is our admissions coach for all college programming. We'll share more about how we help people transition into college. Adam teaches over at, help me, Trempealeau.
Jackson and Trempealeau.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We've had some transitioning out in our more rural county jails, but he's at Jackson and Trempealeau teaching employment skills primarily. And then Sarah is our newest team member. Skills in mental health practice, and just is a big proponent of meeting people's basic needs. She also serves at the library alongside Cam and at the Warming Center. You'll notice not pictured yet, we have Patsy Olson Brown, who just joined our team.
Teaching out at Monroe County Jail.
Thank you. And then proven adjacent people include Sherry Holt, who does work in GED, HSED, Cindy Bay, who's our administrative assistant up front alongside Jess Beck, who is a formerly incarcerated person who's also our current administrative assistant up front. Maya Thomas does basic needs work. Nancy Nelson does academics. And then Karen Duncanson, also GED, HSED. So I know that was a lot of time to spend with our team, but we just want you to know that this is a powerhouse of a team and that we only work when they are there with us, alongside us.
So again, just I know we've touched on it. So our program, we're serving individuals, men and women, directly impacted by the justice system. These are the jails we are in. We are in talks as well, and if anybody, we have people from other parts of the area. Vernon County and Juneau County would be the last two that would get all of our western regional locations, spots where we could be in all the jails throughout our western locations. So that is a near future goal of ours, to expand that just into 2 more counties. And the big part of our jail work is to develop a lot of times those relationships, build rapport, give people a sense of hope, and build off some of that momentum that they can carry on as they transition back into the community. We get a lot of questions, generally speaking, about how many people we're working with at any given time. This is a pretty accurate snapshot. I just did these numbers a couple weeks back, just kind of looking at who we were serving. So, and just the numbers in our jails kind of also go with where the jail populations are. So La Crosse County Jail is our biggest jail. Monroe County being our second largest. So Trempealeau County's new facility is really nice, and our numbers there are increasing, but a lot of that is because Jackson County is housing people in Trempealeau County. So yeah, our numbers, and then you can kind of see all of our clubs, which we'll talk about in our groups in a minute, we're seeing, usually no more than 10, but a lot of times about a minimum of 4 or 5 each week. And we have right now, this current fall term, we have about 65 Project Proven Connected students who are in college at Western. This is a snapshot of what we're offering right now at our jails. Now, I would say this row here we aren't offering this term, but we have offered in previous terms. And our careers class we are actually offering this term, so that one can be up here. But these are typically a go each term in our in La Crosse County Jail. We're just able to offer more in La Crosse County. We have more instructors available. We're 2.5 blocks from campus, so that tends to be our more robust program offering. You can see our employment class is kind of the flagship class that we do as kind of a starter class, because it does touch on much more than just the X's and O's of like a resume and an application and a cover letter. It's getting into conflict resolution and communication and more of that soft skills work. So it's a really good starting point to use as a first program in some of these other jails. This is actually this is what's going on in La Crosse County Jail this term, so you can kind of see everything. And now some of these, so you see Cam and Emily from our library are in weekly. That's awesome. We have our the county and Justice Support Services are also able to offer some of these classes in blue. And then you'll see us scattered throughout here in the yellow and orange. And La Crosse County Jail is actually, it's our only jail that's an official GED test proctoring site, so they can actually take official GED tests while they're in La Crosse County Jail. There's some interest in having some of our rural jail locations as well to have that happen, but right now we're only able to prep for the test in those locations and then able to offer vouchers for them to take the test for free once they get out. But La Crosse is the only one where we can kind of tie a bow on that and take advantage of it while they're still in jail. And this was just. The credit for prior learning process is a little complicated. Really what you need to know is these are the classes that we've offered in La Crosse County Jail, and these are the classes that they've actually earned college credit for while sitting in La Crosse County Jail. So we're able, through kind of their written work and the portfolio that they create and the final interview process that they do with us, we've been able to partner with other instructors on campus where they can basically test out of these classes and earn that college credit for free while they're in jail. So we've had, since we started doing this in 2019, we've had over 200 students earn more than 700 credits while they're in jail, including over 100 students of color. And this transition rate that you see down there, that is students who've done 12 hours of programming with us in the La Crosse County Jail. Like, how likely are they to come over to Western and hook up with us when they get out? And our goal was about 40% when we started tracking this in 2021. Because our Mandy, who Dylan had mentioned earlier, when she said when Proven first started, it was about somewhere between 3 and 10% transition rate. So when we've been seeing this, and it's held steady between like 60 and 70% since we started tracking it. When we've seen that, it just again shows that importance of the connection and the relationship, and that planting that seed while people are in jail to hopefully have them continue that when they get out.
So we wanted to invite you to ponder a little bit. Sometimes it's not super helpful for us to talk the entire time as much as we do sometimes. We wanted to give you a minute just to process this question. What is the biggest barrier for incarcerated people upon release? And I know that you might not be super familiar with the justice system at this point, but we've given you some options that maybe folks are facing when they're re-entering. So what I'd like for you to do, if you're okay with it, would you turn to somebody next to you, or if you're more of a solo person, that's okay too, you can just think, that's all right. But would you either chat it up for a minute or think it up for a minute about this question: what is the biggest barrier for people who are re-entering society? We'll give you just 2 minutes. We'll pull you back in if that's okay. I know we could give a lot more time for this question. Let me pull you back in. I won't ask for any reflections to be shared out quite yet. First, we wanted to offer you a video. And this video, it'll move kind of fast, but what this video shows you is a set of questions, right? One question at a time, and then responses from formerly incarcerated people. We filmed this video several years ago, but it remains relevant for the work that we do today, and there's a lot of brilliant insights in here that will touch on that question of what are some of the big barriers that people face on the outside. So if you would, please. Thank you.
It's that they're never able to change, that they're stuck in that forever.
That they never change.
That they never change.
When we're sober, that we're still in that same mindset of like criminal thinking and being violent when we're really not.
And they don't allow us to show that we have changed. Showing that we can be a new person or that we can do the job that we are asking for.
People still judge me by what I've done in my past.
So one of the biggest stereotypes about people who've previously been incarcerated and then got out that really annoys me is that so many of them assume we're all drug addicts.
They judge us by what we've done, but by everybody else's, what they had done, and they don't separate us and allow us to be our own person.
If somebody has one charge, the next person's gonna have it, and then they're gonna continue to get them.
It's us and them is what I feel like the opinion of the public is.
That we all like don't care about other people or care about ourselves, where we don't want to prosper in life, or like all we want to do is, just do bad things, when that's not really the truth.
It's not fair when you're trying to do good in your life and people are still judging you by what you did when you weren't the same person you are now. So. Well, the background check, probably. That's the biggest thing.
They look at the criminal background and they're like, oh my gosh, no way are we gonna hire you.
They wouldn't hire me because of a expunged theft charge on my record. They didn't even do a background check to even see if it was there or not. But because I was being honest that it could be on my record or it could be expunged, they still wouldn't hire me.
Like, I have great work experience, I'm a great worker, I have great work ethic, and I can't seem to get a job anywhere because people see my pending charges and they just assume that I am the worst and they can't, you know what I mean?
I want to do stuff with animals, like I'm trying to get a thing going for volunteering at the Humane Society. They don't want anybody that has any type of violence on their records at all.
Some employers, especially more corporate employers, want nothing to do with that.
I interviewed with 3 construction companies through the Carpenters Union, and all of them said we hire felons, and all of them said we won't hire you because your felony is too extreme.
I am a paralegal by trade, and I have contacted major law firms over the United States, and nobody will hire me because I was in prison for 21 years.
Doesn't matter if you're trying to do good. It doesn't matter what you like, how much clean time you have.
I just started telling them, like, look, I was in prison for this, and they're like, oh, that's too extreme. Because I didn't want to go through the interview just to be told no. So like that's been a huge challenge for me personally.
When someone's willing to work and you wanted to hire them in the first place, why would you fire me because of my background from my past? Like, that makes no sense to me.
You gotta still have hope, because some people will hire you, despite it, that you've been in prison, you ain't got an education, but you're willing to work. That's what a lot of people look for. But like I say, it's still that stigma, that a lot of people don't want to work, even though some do.
Most recently, probably my Exitex job, it was most satisfying in some ways. It was a small location, not many people work there, but it was a job where I had some freedom to do things.
I worked my way up from a kennel attendant to the co-director of the Trumpeldor County Humane Society, and yeah, well within like 4 or 5 months. And I just like animals more than I like people, just plain and simple.
I really liked working at UPS because UPS was like a lot of physical work, a lot of you felt very productive and like you've accomplished things when you got done with your shift. Every day was an accomplishment. Every day was a really intensive, just really put your mind and your body to the work all at once.
The best job I've had so far has been drywalling, simply because my boss was really awesome. I had a lot of flexibility, and he wanted the work to get done, and he wanted to get done right. So as long as I could meet that, like, he was totally flexible if I needed to go see my agent or I needed to be somewhere or do something, and he was very encouraging of volunteer activities. So like, he let me off work several times because he wanted me to go to volunteer activities because he himself is a volunteer.
I got a job at Aramark. I only worked there for a week, but that was the very first job I had since being in the criminal system because I didn't work for a long time. But it was fast-paced. They didn't care about my background, and they pay really good.
Salvation Army, bell ringing for them, seeing people, giving and meeting people, answering questions and greeting people. Because I'm a people person.
My best job is working here at Western. I love working at Western. I love working with the people. I work in the Commons Department upstairs in the library. And I direct people and help them out with what they need to learn or help them out with they need books or anything like that.
I had an under-the-table job working for a guy who did estate buyouts, and that was probably the funnest.
To keep it real with you, they let you eat all you want during a break. Like, if you on a break, you eat all you want. So you just leave there with a full stomach.
I used to run my own crew building grain bins in North and South Dakota. And like, they didn't judge me by my history from day one.
When I get into something, I dive all the way deep into it, which is part of the reason why I got bumped up to co-director so fast, is because I really just dove in and put all my time into it. It's just something, I don't see it as work if you enjoy it. It's not work. Yeah. It's just, it makes you feel good.
Because I'm a really hard worker, I learn really fast. I am great with people. I can adapt to anything. I've literally spent my life adapting. My energy radiates out, so like, I help build people up and bring people up too.
Because I will do everything I can to learn every aspect of the job so that I can handle it and help others and always be productive. I mean, I really strive to be somebody that's reliable and dependable. Like, it's a very important thing for me.
I don't like to do nothing. I always need to be doing something. Doing something that is productive, something that's helping somebody else. But if I can train somebody and help them learn, I love doing that. I love helping people learn.
Overtime or stay a little extra if necessary. I stay working. I don't lag on my breaks. I often don't take them, or take them for as long as other people do. I'm a very active person, and I really enjoy getting out and doing things and working and being connected with people.
If you tell me you want something done, I will shake that bone until I find your answer. And I will give you that answer when we are ready.
I am dedicated. I am hardworking. I've had like a lot of experience in a lot of things. Just because I have a criminal background doesn't mean I don't have knowledge or experience in things. And I'm pretty awesome, so.
Because I'm an out-of-box thinker. I'm a team player.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
I'm a good worker. I'm a hard worker. I learn fast. Everybody loves me. Even at Western, you guys love me.
I know, yes.
Like, I have that outgoing personality that people get along with me to a point.
To take one more minute, and you can either think or turn to somebody next to you. What did you hear about barriers upon re-entry? I'll give you just 1 minute, okay? What did you hear from the video? Okay, I'll pull you back in if that's okay. I know you need more time. I'm gonna pull you back in anyway. Could I invite just 1 to 2 people to share out? What did you talk about? What did you hear from the video?
It wasn't on your list.
It wasn't on the
Ooh,
list.
okay.
That was a trick question.
Stigma.
Thanks.
She was talking about the perception that employers or the community have about someone. Maybe not necessarily one of those things we had listed before, but kind of the stigma, perhaps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right on, Ellen. Thank you so much. Could I invite 1 other person? Did you hear something different or something similar?
Well, how the stigma that really impacts their job.
Sure.
For sure.
Yes, and how the stigma really impacts your ability to get a job. Yeah.
Right on. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Well, and you know, some of that we get, that's, you are spot on, because what we see and we find is that, yeah, there's this, you know, the invisible stripe, you know, that is on we're constantly wondering what that other perception is. So now, like, when you're getting out and you have these labels that you think, you know, everybody knows, like, you know, you've done this, addict, you know, thief, this, you're walking around with all these things, and it can create this anxiety and like make you feel like you don't belong. Because it's like, well, do I share this with somebody? Do I not? If I do share it, am I not going to be able to do this thing? Or am I going to have to, like, so you tend to, maybe it's isolation. So much of what we do and all these groups that we're going to talk about quickly, you know, sense of belonging is at the core of everything that we do. It is, in our world, it is a basic human need, especially in a time of transition. And I can't think of a greater time of transition than when you're getting out of jail or a prison setting. But having that that connection point, I mean, if you think about even in your own life, when a new relationship, a new city, a new job, you're just craving that connection. I need some sense of belonging. So that is what we're trying to provide in these settings. As we all know, you know, being at Western, you know, the education is the way to get up that socioeconomic ladder. But before you can think of any of that, you got to feel welcome and you got to feel like you belong somewhere.
One of the ways we create that belonging is by offering clubs on campus, and clubs are our informal term for classes that we offer on Western's campus, mostly the Student Success Center, which is right on 7th and Badger. One of those clubs is Job Club, and this is our longest running one. It's been around for about 10 years now. Every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, like clockwork, we're there. And as Colin mentioned before, we're mostly focusing on the soft skills that are surrounding employment. So we work on communication, conflict resolution, stress management, time management, in addition to some of the more employment-centered skills like resume building, interviewing, and that sort of thing. Sorry, all my pictures are the most boring, but I promise there are more interesting pictures coming. So that's Job Club. I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about Leadership Group. Leadership Group is one of our newer clubs. It's been around for about 2 years now. Leadership is a space for justice-involved people to make systems changes. So essentially, people come here and they can propose problems and solutions for what they're seeing in their own and others' reentries. So you get a snapshot here of things that this group has decided to take on. So our leadership group members have fought for jail calls to be free. And that was an initiative that was successful. So La Crosse County did push that forward. So right now, La Crosse County, for everybody who's currently incarcerated, they get 2 free calls per day, up to 15 minutes each. And to our knowledge, we're one of the first jails to accomplish that in Wisconsin, and that was largely because of Leadership Group and their collective power. I also wanted to mention the Landlord Mitigation Program, which you might have seen in the paper a couple of years back. This was a city-led program to basically create an insurance fund for landlords who experience damages or late rent by offering a chance. So this was a program that our members helped to design and that the city ultimately piloted and is still running now. You can see we've also done some work on public awareness and advocacy with letters to the editor and more. And then there's Laundry for All on the bottom. We were working on that for some time. We've since shifted our focus a little bit, and we're working on MTU fair affordability. So our leadership group members have identified that moving around the city is very difficult in re-entry. Our resources are very scarce, and so we're trying to work with the MTU and the City Council on how we can make more affordable fares for people who are in poverty or otherwise experiencing hardship.
Also free food at this one.
Also free food.
Big draw. Wellness Club, newest on our menu of clubs. So this is Wednesday. You'll see kind of a theme, 1 o'clock. Wednesdays at 1, I think, mindfulness topics, coping strategies. We're on a gratitude trajectory here towards Thanksgiving right now. It's going to culminate in the day before the big community dinner at the La Crosse Center. We help on Wednesday setting up down there. So it's kind of a slow build to that right now, but Chelsea, who you saw on one of those earlier slides, she heads this up and she does a great job and has some really good ideas, cool things going forward with like art therapy and jujitsu, and she's a certified yoga instructor, so we can go a lot of ways with this one. Tech Club, which is Jay is our man in charge up there. This is a really cool fusion lab in what I think is our coolest building on campus in our integrated tech building. It's a chance for people to just get up there and get their hands on something, doing something cool. It could be as simple as making like a 3D printed fidget. You could get into laser cutting, mechatronics, robotics. Doing some light builds on like framing and construction. You can like computer aided design, stuff like that. Really great chance to see, hey, I didn't know I was good at this, or this is cool. What, can I get a job around here doing this? If so, do I need a degree? Okay, do you offer something like that here? And it's a way to kind of spark a new career pathway for folks. Rec Club, that is every other Friday where we're just getting out in the community and doing some fun stuff. Just creating that social connection, seeing a lacrosse from perhaps a different lens than you're used to, and realizing all the cool stuff that we can actually do in safe, sober spaces around town.
It's my photo when there are no people in it. One-on-one, sorry, not a more exciting photo.
Yeah.
I need to get better at that, I promise I will.
This is an very accurate depiction of the room, though.
It really is. So this is where we host our one-on-one meetings. I promise that it's much more lively every single day than this picture looks. So most of our team members offer one-on-one re-entry appointments where we provide holistic wraparound care to people who transition over to Western. So we're helping, the big need areas are employment, basic needs, including housing and education. And in these sort of 3 tiers of support, we provide, I think, are the most services.
And also, that is also the landing spot for our clothing closet. So that's why you saw some of the donations sitting around there. Get sorted, folded there, and then head up to our Learning Commons where people can get those.
Thank you. And largely because of Colin's advocacy efforts on Western's campus, we have pioneered a clothing closet that looks more like a boutique shop. You should check it out sometime. If you're by Western, come by and say hi to us and we'll show you the boutique. And we also have a food pantry right on campus. We stock backpacks and tents because that's where we're at right now with the housing crisis here in La Crosse. If you didn't know that already, we also do hygiene products, bus tokens, and countless other basic needs items for people to survive right now. So in the way of support, these are other ways of seeing kind of how we offer our services, some of the lessons we have learned over these last 10 years with Proven. You have to focus on basic needs. And I think for many of us who have had our basic needs met for a long time, we can forget what it's like not to have those needs met. And your ability to focus, my ability to focus, to communicate with you, to keep a schedule, to keep those meetings that are so important to me, all that can fall away if I lose my basic needs. And as y'all know, there's a very fragile and weak safety net here for when things do go wrong, especially incarceration, whether proven guilty or not. So basic needs, we provide a lot of that support. I also want to mention time. A lot of people think money is the most important thing for people in re-entry. Colin and I often find that it's time. People are short on time. There's so much to do, so much to build in such a short amount of time, that we try to keep it simple. This is a recommendation. If you know people in your networks who operate an agency or a business, right, the simpler the better. That is to say, you know how employers require you to submit a resume and then type in all your resume stuff on an online application these days? We say, bad practice. Keep it simple if you can. Take a resume referral because it saves folks so much time in re-entry when they have so many other things to build up. Problem solve. Colin and I spend most of our days problem solving a wide wide array of situations. I can tell you it has never been boring in a single day that we have worked at Western, has it?
No.
Patience. Oftentimes, as you know already, change comes real slow. Even small changes are hard. If I'm trying to knock out sweets in my diet, that's freaking hard, right? We can talk about that later, maybe, if you're interested. The really meaningful changes, though, when it comes to changing fundamental behaviors, that includes addiction-related behaviors, that includes social networks who are really, really toxic for people. These are monumental changes that can take years. I am so proud, though, of our work that we are willing to stay with people, right? Colin and I have been working with some of the same people that we started working with on day one. And a lot of those people that you saw in the video, in fact, have been out of the justice system for 5 or 6 years right now. Actually, most of them have. So I'm really proud of how our relationships and that sense of belonging keeps people out of the system, largely through patience.
And as far as coping strategies goes, like that could be as simple as, hey, like when you're feeling stressed, and rather than just like saying, F it, and you walk out and never come back, say F it, walk out, have a smoke, come on back. Like, like it can be little things like that, just building that this can be like a safe space. And this is like switching your environment, little things that you can do for as far as coping to keep you around. Structure, we know that people are coming from areas, work, where they're everything. You don't have a choice what you get to wear, when the lights go on, what door opens when the phones turn on. Everything's decided for you, what you're eating for the day. Going from that to now I have to decide everything, like all this thing is like, I have choice for everything right now. Like, holy cow, what am I going to do with all this? I don't even know where to start. So if we can provide some guardrails and help people make those informed decisions and provide some structure around, what everything that's coming at them, that's very important. I would say with that though, still offering choice can be very empowering, because when you're getting out, you probably got a lot of people telling you what to do. That could be coming from home, that could be coming from your probation officer, that could be coming from a case manager. You got a lot of people saying, do this, do that, do that. So giving somebody the option, hey, like these are the options. These are some things that are like positives here. These are some negatives here. You make the call. Like, so giving people that choice, really building self-efficacy, believing in people. And so this is a population that has been told you are not capable, you can't do it, you're not good enough, and you get kicked and kicked and kicked, and you start to believe some of these things. So just constant belief and support, building folks' confidence. A lot of times we are just cheerleaders, and we can just be reminders that no, you can do this. We're focusing on your strengths, getting rid of that negative mentality, and celebrating like all the things, little things, and as small as they can be. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for showing up. Getting through the doors at Western's a huge barrier. Like, people don't usually, this could be the first time they've ever walked on a college campus. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on time. Like, really appreciate what you said there. Like, that's such a good idea. Just little things, positive reinforcement. It sounds so simple, but it's something that is so absent in so much of what our folks are working with right now. So some employer partnerships. This is not an end-all list. These are just some of the places where we've really had some success working in some of those quicker, not so many barriers. Hey, we're working with this person. Here's their resume. This is kind of what they got going on. Just looking at what can we do to advocate for folks. Very informal partnerships. These are some of the places that are on that list. If you have any others in mind that you don't see on there that you are connected with and you think would be a really good option, yes, talk with us. We should connect some more.
And as I mentioned right at the top, we don't do our work in a silo at all. These are some of the community partnerships that we have built and that we have leaned on through the years. That includes League of Women Voters doing some work with us in La Crosse County Jail, as well as La Crosse Public Library, and so many others.
Finally, a lot of times, how can we help? What can we do? Here are some different options of getting involved.
The first is you can buy some swag.
We have some really new cool, we have some cool stuff. I know you see t-shirts here. We've had long sleeve hooded stuff in the past. New stuff is on the way. I'm in the process of finalizing the design on it right now, so it will be out and on our website shortly.
On donation, I'll be real frank with you that we rely on just a couple of bigger donors that support a lot of our programming, but those funds don't go far enough. In other words, the several $1,000s that we get per year is quickly depleted, because you can imagine how great some of the needs that we're facing are, right? Just transportation barriers, housing barriers, right? For a one bedroom apartment right now, you're looking at about $600 to $700 in rent. So security deposit, first month's rent, that adds up really fast, right? So we're unable to provide the level of support that we'd like to. So if you know somebody who's willing to donate, we're all about that, because all those proceeds go directly to our clients who are in reentry. I also want to mention Circles of Support specifically. I know a few of you are involved in Circles. It's a powerful organization that helps people along in reentry by providing social support. And you can get involved in that through various ways. Maybe Chris Haskell's the right person to talk to about that. Speaking of voting, I know we just had an election, but you can get to know candidates' views on corrections and reentry. I don't think we ask about this often enough, but mass incarceration is a mega problem right now in the state of Wisconsin, especially as prisons do not have enough staff, which means 23-hour-a-day lockdowns and much more. So I think we need to start being critical of how our candidates are looking at our correctional system and what solutions they're proposing, because it's not sustainable for anyone anymore. Use person first language. You'll notice Colin and I have not used the word felon or inmate one single time in this presentation, and that's except for that, and that's very deliberate. We use person first language, justice involved person, formerly incarcerated, currently incarcerated. These are humane, recognizing the humanity of the people that we serve, humane solutions, alternatives. Networking, Colin mentioned that a little bit. You can also volunteer with us, partially through joining our groups. All of our groups are open, so we have several volunteers that we lean on throughout the week, so you're welcome to join, support us as you're able. And then finally, refer justice-impacted connections. There are 70 million people in this country who have some kind of criminal record. 1 out of roughly 4 have a CCAPable, like you can look them up on CCAP, our kind of correction system here in Wisconsin. So that is to say, almost certainly you know someone who has been involved in the justice system. Please refer away. We provide powerful community. And as you can see, our data shows that what we're doing is working.
And if with this one, if there are things that you are connected with or think that there could be good opportunities to get folks that we're working with involved with you, again, connection, sense of belonging, get people, so it's not us versus them in the community. We feel a part of the community again. If there are opportunities like that, let us know, and we can try to get the word out in our areas as well. Here's contact info if you want to know anything. Again, like if you're like, ooh, I want to, but the logo behind the shirt, what does it mean? I get that a lot. Lotus flower. This was created by Maya, who is like a fantastic artist. The lotus flower, she said, I thought of you because, lotus flowers, she said, I don't know if you know much about them. She said, but they really grow through mud and these the worst conditions imaginable. But when they get to the surface, they're such a beautiful flower. She said, it reminds me so much of the work you guys are doing with Project Proven. And I'm like, that is amazing. She did the logo. There we are. So these shirts, if you want a shirt, I don't know that I would order them right now because I feel like I only have about 2X size left. But there's new stuff coming, so pay attention. That's the site where you can get them. Please get in touch with us or stick around if you need to chat or have any more questions, because I know we went over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we just wanted to close by saying thank you so much for having us here. This is really an honor for Colin and I to be able to do this and to share space with you. We appreciated your discussion so much during that small breakout period. If you have any questions or concerns, please connect with us, and thank you all. Transition over to Colin.
Wait a minute, if you have questions.
Yep.
Here. It's just a minor question. You talked about donations, and that can be tricky. So if I just send a check to WTC, where is it going to go?
Really good question. So we have a fund set up. It's through our foundation office. It's the Project Proven Reentry Fund. It's just called Project Proven Reentry Fund. And it goes right there. 100% of that goes right back out to students. To be able to do some of those activities that you saw in the clubs, stuff like that, goes 100% back to student needs or to support our events at our group or something like that. Great question, though.
Are there any other questions?
Thank you very much for this. I was involved in a program like this back in Madison a number of years ago, and out of that, a group of formerly incarcerated people organized their own group called Voices Beyond Bars, in which they gave support to each other and advocated for people. Is there any sign of that happening here, of returning prisoners organizing themselves?
Yes, that is happening right now. One of the biggest organizations in our state is called EXPO. It used to stand for Ex-Prisoners Organizing. Now they change it to Ex-Incarcerated People Organizing, similar to that first person first language. So you're welcome to look up EXPO. They have chapters around the state, including the closest one, which is Eau Claire. We have a leadership group in particular has been exploring becoming a chapter of EXPO. Just haven't crossed that bridge yet because there are some administrative things we have to work through.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to Sheila back there who's on our
Yeah,
team. Hi, Sheila.
great to see you. Another one of our amazing front desk staff.
I was just wondering if you guys could share, I know some proven people go through the GED. Could you give them numbers of the number of people that have been graduated the last 2 years?
The sheer number of GED, HSED people, it's like 400 people a year right now that are getting, it's like the numbers are as high as we've ever had going through our programming there. There are a good chunk of them that are also proven connected as well. The number that I don't have that number off the top of my head. I can count, I know currently we have about 6 to 8 that are currently working in the HSED room right now, wrapping that up. So they'll be on that graduation list, and they'll be able to walk the stage in May with everybody else.
Okay, well, I would like to, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, the Crosse, thank you for coming and sharing this program with us today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Colin and Bill. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thanks to Chris and the team who are working with them and helping us meet our goals as a League of Women Voters. If you'll just a second, my name is Deb. I'm a member of the program committee, and I just have a couple of announcements. I know we're running a little long. First of all, I would like to raise up a thank you to everybody who volunteered with voter services. Chris's group, how many people were involved in the voter services efforts this fall? Well, we want to say thank you for all of that work. The announcements were flashing before us before the lunch, but just a reminder, on Monday, November 25th, the book club will be meeting at River Place Apartments, and the book is Beloved by Toni Morrison. So be sure to attend that if you're interested. Our December Lunch and Learn is to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, with Sam Shinta will be presenting there. And we'll also have a little holiday fun, maybe. We'll see. Might be a quiz. I would also draw your attention, I know we've been inundated with emails, but you should have been getting emails from the state that announce the fall issues briefing that is held every fall in November. And that's this Thursday the 14th, Saturday the 16th, and then Tuesday the 19th. The topics are Justice Matters for Native Americans, Justice Matters for our judicial system, Justice Matters for LGBTQIA plus community. So it's all online. You can attend one or all of them. It's up to you. But I would be looking for that. I think there was an email today or yesterday. It was from the state. There's a lot in there, so scroll down till you get to the registration. Or if you go online, I'm sure it'll be front and center. But if you've never attended an issues briefing, it's really a good time to listen to other topics of discussion that are important at the state level. Barb. Okay, so Barb is reminding us about the event at the La Crosse Historical Society Heritage Center. And tomorrow evening, you should have gotten a postcard in the mail. It should be on our website. Talk to Barb if you're not sure what we're talking about here. Everyone's invited. Okay. And so in addition, I want to thank the program committee who participated. Deborah Buffton is our chair. Carla in the back actually helped organize this with Deborah. Barbara Soderin, and I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Leslie in the back. Yes, Leslie, I'm going to do an ad for you too. Just a minute. Okay. The program committee needs help. You can help plan these kinds of events, so please talk to Deborah. We need more people involved in planning it. I also wear a hat as coordinator for the Vote 411. If you're not familiar, Vote 411 is the online voter education tool that the League of Women Voters sponsors nationally. So this, I think, will be our 5th go-around at the local level to do Vote 411, which is information about local candidates who are running for office. You've had a week off, you're done. Because we are now starting to work on planning what does Vote 411 going to look like, and the next election year starts in January 2025. Leslie in the back is responsible for forums. That group also needs some help, some assistance, because our role is not only to register people to vote, but help inform them about who is on the ballot, what are the issues that are important in our community. So please talk to us. We need some help with that, especially if we want to grow our impact in the area. So those are some tools that we're proud to offer in our community. And does anybody else have any other announcements? Oh, Robin. So Robin is reminding us that the state is offering, and I'll never remember all of that, a conversation about waterways. Is that what I heard you say? The infrastructure series. So be sure to look for that opportunity as well. Is there anything else, Jane, that we need to add? Yes, thank you to the Waterfront and our AV that's making our recordings, and so you can promote our programs for people who aren't able to attend in person as well. If there's anything else, thank you for coming and have a great afternoon.